Hi, this is Quill Ken. I'm going to talk about the Spanish Mauser. This is a Model 98 that was done on a Spanish action. Um, I had this rifle built because I wanted a featherweight rifle that was in a Mauser action. Many years ago, decades, I had a Model 660, I believe it was Remington 660. It was light. It was a very good rifle. It was chambered in 6 millimeter. Now think about it. I think it's called 6 millimeter Remington. So when I got this thought or bug, I said, hey, I want to build me something that's going to be light, kind of featherweight, and I came up with this. This sports I believe these actions were made in Spain. I can't remember the name of the company, but they come engraved. I don't know if you can see that there. It did come with a bolt and a commercial bolt shroud. I ended up buying a barrel for this. This was an unbarreled action, by the way. I believe this barrel was made by Douglas. It's a hunting barrel. I think this one here is 23 inches. I put a loopholed Rifleman, a 3x9. This is a 40 millimeter tube. This is the only rifle I have that actually got a Timothy trigger. So it's got a Timothy trigger with the forward backwards type of safety mechanism. Just turn it around this way a little bit. Commercial style, no charging hump, no thumb cut out, no charging hump. This receiver was, believe it or not, it was tapped and drilled. So other than just putting on scope base, that's pretty much all the work that was done on the receiver itself. My gunsmith who did this, I had him blue this because I didn't really want to do cerakoting back then. Actually, back then I didn't really know about cerakoting, to be honest with you. But I had a blue. This is the original bluing that's been on this rifle for, man, quite a few decades now. Yeah, I just noticed this. I didn't even notice this. The action actually came with rings because these rings are engraved too. I don't remember buying these like that, so I'm going to assume that the action came with the rings. So if I had to make a guess, probably it's just the scope base we have to put on this, maybe. Um, this rifle has killed, conservatively speaking, 50, maybe 80 deer. Just have to own this for sure, easily. It's my main hunting rifle. And I hunt with this mainly because of the weight. When I used to hunt in places like Florida, for example, you're restricted by how much weight you can carry because you're out there all day in the heat and the humidity, mosquitoes. Carrying around a long rifle that's heavy, it gets kind of tiring, even on a sling. So if you're doing it in your hand, that additional weight does become a fatigue factor. The stock I put on this, I don't remember where I bought this stock, but this was a cheap stock, and it's synthetic plastic, whatever you want to call it, polymer, however you want to call it. I went real cheap on this rifle back then because I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really have ideas of what I really want to do. I bought this magazine box through some supplier online. Again, it's got some cheap engraving that's on it. I think this is aluminum. Just the way it sounds. It's not metal. I need to put a mag on there one day. But to kind of give you an idea of a breakdown on costs. This action that I bought here, I don't think I paid over maybe $150 maybe back then. Maybe 150. I think the most expensive thing that's actually done on this rifle was the blue job and the barrel. This stock I got on a clearance. It was a company they used to do sporterized mousing products. I can't remember the name of them. I don't think they're around any longer. But I got this stock on clearance for like $10 or $19. It was cheap. The scope, back then, Walmart used to have some pretty good prices. You could talk to the manager, find out like the clearance on the hunting season. I got this loophole in a Walmart up there by Sebring, Florida. I paid maybe $75 for the scope, brand new. Bluing job, I think that was the most expensive thing. I think it was about $180 to get this whole thing blued. And it's I mean, I don't do any maintenance on this. Occasionally, I'll run a wire, a bronze brush down the bore, maybe patch it once every so often. And this thing is chambered in 7x57 Mauser. It's like one of my favorite cartridge. Just recently, I had this bolt handle. We did cerakote. Sorry, we did bluing on the back on the bottom half of the bolt, but I was getting a little bit of surface rust here on the bolt knob itself and on the bolt body. So what we end up doing is I have my local cerakoter. We blacked ice the bolt, so that way we can get a little more um, corrosion rust resistant on the bolt body itself, the extractor, and that's only because there was a little bit of surface rust. So like if you don't really dry this thing off and you come out of hunting and you leave it kind of naked for a while, you start seeing a little, not rust, but just a little bit of uh, oxidation, I guess you want to call it. So I went ahead and tried this. It's called Micro Slick, also known as black ice, but it's a dry finish that's supposed to be kind of resistant to scratching. And it also has some kind of corrosion resistance and rust resistance to it. So it's called Micro Slick. You ought to look it up. Cerakoting, the Cerakote people who do Cerakotes, or the company, they can provide the materials. I can't remember if he had to air dry this or bake dry it, but I'm doing a testing on this thing just to see how well it's going to hold up. But this is the Spanish Mauser. I do believe these were made in Spain too, these actions. And like I said, back then it was cheap. I'd have to get an engraver. I just bought the parts and pretty much had it constructed. I didn't do any work on this other than putting the stock on it, scope. Um, my gunsmith, he checked the threads, the straightness of the face. He did the head space checking and basically screwed on the barrel I bought. And I don't have any no markings in this barrel, but I do believe this. I don't think this is a Lothar or Walther barrel. I think this is a Douglas barrel, if I recall correctly. Rio Can Mauser 98 Sporterize.